thank you. So if I introduce Barbara and Claire, they've been keen to start this group for a long time, especially Barbara. We've been in discussion for quite a long time about it. And it's probably better for me just to hand over to them before I start making any mistakes and saying the wrong things. So who wants to start? Barbara?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Richard, and thank you to everyone that has allowed this night to happen. I know that the BSD has tried for some time to start a spiritual group, and I've been, as Richard said, in discussion with him for some time. He managed to convince me. And and last week when the number registering for tonight were increasing by the hour, I had a sense of overwhelm. And I talked to Claire, who kindly offered or maybe suggested maybe we can co-host it. And Claire, for those who weren't at the symposium, has been my mentor for the past 5 years. So it is a bit daunting having your mentor joining and sharing a group like that. But I am also very, very excited because she has so much to offer as well. And before we start, just giving you a bit of a background of who I am, and yes, and I got here. My career was very much in the city of London. I was running international law firms, and everything in my life was very much structured. I'm by trade an accountant, I studied accountancy. I lived in Germany. I learned Germany very fast because everything is so very structured. And I found myself in the context of energy and spirituality in 2019 when I was recovering from cancer. So everything was was it 19? No, 2019, no, 11, I don't remember. Anyway, it was roughly 10 years ago. And my mental well-being started really letting me go. My physical, I was so unwell. And at the time I met my mentor who sadly passed away. And that journey started like that. Along the side, but the problem with me was very, very complicated. It was very much down to symbol, understand, and mathematics. I'm very simple in learning. And yes, it was 2019. I was at a birthday party. I met Claire. Claire is incredible in what she teaches, but she is very grounded. I got it basically immediately what she was talking to me about. And since the first session, I have still this memory of this sense of compression around me. I couldn't understand what it was. And the first session, it was like lifting a wetsuit. I felt the freedom around me. And I never looked back. And 5 years on, I learned and developed and I crashed, I learned. It is spirituality is really very much, for me, a journey of growth and understanding and discovering. For me, there is not a fixed route. It is what mostly resonates with me. And working with Claire had this effect. I could understand a subject that it is so wide spoken, but I really couldn't never get to the nitty-gritty. And if you do not understand what you're talking about or what you've been shared with, you make no progress. That's at least how is my understanding. So yeah, it feels a bit daunting having Claire here from a personal perspective. I'm so delighted that she's sharing this platform with me, and it is very much this joint venture, and now I allow Claire to present herself.
Oh, lovely. Thanks so much, Barbara. Thank you. That means a lot to me. Hi, everybody. I'm Claire Walker, and I live in Yorkshire, Beverley, East Yorkshire. I've been working full time now in this field. I'm a spiritual life coach, intuitive mentor, alchemist, lots of things really. But I've been working in this capacity now for full time for 9 years. Prior to doing that, I had a long career, professional career in the police. I was working for 22 years in different police forces and across in Europe and nationally, regionally, working in serious and organised crime, including human trafficking and all kinds of things that you can imagine. And I held a very responsible position as well at that time, just before I left. I retired early and 2014. And I knew it was the right time to go, and this business kind of happened. It wasn't very much pre-planned, but I have a long history. I've been working intuitively for 30 years. I lived in a normal household, really, but my dad was a Buddhist, a practicing Buddhist, and he was a bus driver and a Buddhist. Back in the 70s, that was quite unusual. Lifelong vegetarian. And so yoga and meditation in our house was a fairly normal occurrence to see. And I was aware of being sensitive to energy as a child, but perhaps encouraged by my mum not to talk about it too much because other people might not understand. So really kept it close to my chest. And even during my whole career in the police, nobody had any ideas of my outside interests. And it was really when my dad died early, in my early 20s, that I sort of started to pick it up properly. And back in those days, no internet, you only have books. And it was a book by a Scottish medium, Gordon Smith, that started me off. Because in those days, we had mediumship, and that was it. There was nothing else to describe what I was interested in. It was just mediumship. So I started reading about it, and in this particular book by Gordon Smith, there was a meditation, and it was where you met your guide, and it was in a forest walk, and it's something I've recorded, and I've credited Gordon Smith. It's on my YouTube actually, and SoundCloud. The forest walk meditation, and it takes you to meet your guide in a forest clearing, and I did that very meditation every day for a year. I could see my guide at the fountain in the forest clearing, and he would smile as a yes, and he would nod, as a no. And on that basis of yes and no, I went to him every day with questions, because it was my only way of understanding more about what I was doing. Because I knew it wasn't mediumship, but I didn't know what to call it. I didn't know what it was. Thank you for, someone's just put Gordon Smith medium up on there. Thank you. He's still very much going as Gordon, and he does do training courses as well around the country. Anyway, so that kind of got me started. I connected with my guide in my early 20s. That's 30 years ago. And it's not humans that have taught me. I haven't been on loads of courses and stuff. It's spirit that's taught me. And believe me, I'm a very grounded, down-to-earth person, as Barbara said. I don't just accept what I'm told. I have to understand how it works. And this is me. And because I understand in my own kind of way how things work, it means I'm really good at troubleshooting. And because when people have difficulties with their spiritual communications, and I work with a lot of practitioners and therapists, that's probably the biggest group of people. I've worked with hundreds internationally now. And people on a journey of self-discovery, I understand if things aren't working or things aren't going right, or you can't get that to work, I generally can get to the root of the problem, because I really like understanding the engineering, if you like, behind why it's possible to do X, Y, and Z. So I've really I've built up my interest and my learning in that way over 30 years. And it's my life's work, really, when you look back at it that way. And, so of the last 9 years, I've been able to step out and help make a difference. The whole reason I joined the police was to make a difference. And when I felt perhaps at a time when I was not making as much difference, that's when I left. And I left to look for something to help me make a difference, more of a difference. And it was this. And so now, as Barbara says, it's a huge area. You are always the student. I'm still the student, very much. But I'm also a teacher. I'm a qualified teacher trainer and a qualified spiritual life coach. And I work one-to-ones. I work with courses. We have an online academy, Intuitive You, and it provides all kinds of courses for a whole variety. So we start with, we work with basic level up to working with remote view, body scanning, and sort of more advanced alchemy. Alchemy being my favorite subject, and spiritual alchemy, which you'll learn a little bit about tonight, because we're going to share a little bit with you, which will be good. So I've got somebody with their hand up. Is that? Oh, but you're on mute. Is it John Cole?
John Cole, yes.
Yeah.
Have you trained to be a medium then?
No, I did go to Spiritualist Church, for a while, and in that church was medium, it's a medium circle. But I just didn't, I enjoyed it, but it just wasn't quite what I wanted to do. And still at that time, I didn't quite have a label for what I wanted to do. And it was that experience kind of helped push me into, the area that I'm in now, the intuitive area. The intuitive area is huge, and it very much starts within the intuitive side and your sensory reception, perception and how you interpret stuff that comes into you, working with your layers of conscious, your mind and your ego, soul, body, higher self. It all starts kind of within with your layers of conscious and all your connections and the flow of everything, your vibration, your frequency. It's all about frequency, really. And so I help people to work at different frequencies. I soon learned from spirits that this is all about frequency. And if you work at a particular frequency, you can tune in to that frequency physically. And that enables you to communicate, both feel and have a sort of a sensory form of communication. But also, and tonight we're going to be showing you some sensory yes and no working with soul later on, just as a bit of an example. It's a very tangible example. But also then to outside of yourself, connecting with guides, working with source, working with your higher self. There's a lot of philosophy around this, and people give different labels to things. And, I kind of see the stuff that I'm doing, because I've been taught by spirit, and I've always triangulate everything. I have a whole process of being taught stuff, and then I triangulate it with people I trust. We test it, and then it goes public. There's a whole process. And I work on some things that I on courses and something. I've worked on them for years, years, literally years before they go public. And because I've worked on things so long, I've got to a point now where I've got a lot of material out there released. So there's a good variety of stuff that I cover, but I'm still learning, every day. And that I love about it, because it's kind of a bit of a never ending, it's infinite. And also you can specialize and go off in different ways to do different things, using different tools. So alchemy really is kind of the vehicle that carries you through the different frequencies, and it enables you to work and transform energy, at distance and remotely. So you can work anywhere in the world, from anywhere in the world, and still have the same impact as being in person. And I love that. It's fascinating. So I'm very passionate about what I do. And one reason I jumped at this when Barbara mentioned it is because for people to come in and get interested a bit more in spirituality and joining it up with what you're perhaps doing already. I love that. I'm working with that all the time with people around the world, and to have such a big group of people, dipping their toe in the water. Some of you will be experienced and some of you perhaps looking at this for the first time, and there'll be a whole mix of skill sets here. And I love that about it too. So, we're going to share a few bits and pieces with you tonight, just to kind of show an example of some of the things that we do. But it's not even scratching the surface. It is a massive area. But we thought that, perhaps the first thing to do in speaking to you all is to find out what it is you're after in this group, and it will help us then perhaps shape it in the way that helps you the most, because otherwise there's no point in us being here. So we want to contribute and make a difference. So it's kind of understanding a bit about what you guys are interested in knowing more about. And it's obviously, this is a huge area that we can explore with you and take you on a bit of a journey. So Barbara, is that kind of, and Richard, is that fair to open that up now to understanding?
Yes, certainly. What I've noticed is in the Zoom talks, well, Zoom calls we had before, like the international call, those calls, and like George's Cafe, some of you may be familiar with. Many of the talks, many of the who attend want to contribute something, and they sometimes go down the spiritual route. They want to talk about their experiences, and I thought the thing I like about this group now is it brings everybody together under that umbrella. That's for me anyway. But listening to what Claire has had to say, and Barbara, I think it's probably time now to ask people what if they'd like to contribute something, or if they'd like to know something.
Yeah. We use the chat box for that, because that's the most efficient way of doing it. Otherwise, because with a number of people, if everyone has a space to speak, we'll be there till 8:30 before we are through. So the most efficient way of finding out what people want is to use the chat box.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. We can read off that, Richard, if that's
much quicker. Trust me.
Yeah. So it will be recorded, and then the transcript, so we can look at
people are still coming in, by the way.
Yeah, there is some coming in. Yeah.
So perhaps, I'm going to watch the chat box. Shall I watch that? And
Yeah.
Is that all right, Richard?
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So shall we begin, Claire? If everyone, yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to share a very short PowerPoint. There are a couple of people here that were at the conference, the symposium, and probably you've done in a slightly different way the exercise we are going to share. But we thought it was a good way to break the water, or to dive into this session, something that Claire had told me at start, and I always work with my clients when they come for either healing one-to-one or group session or mentoring, spiritual mentoring. So I'm going to share this PowerPoint, and this is the slideshow.
This is interactive as well. So this is a chance for you to get involved and experience perhaps some sensory feelings and experiences with energy. So
yes, Claire, thank you. I'm setting the next bit out in the meantime. So this one is a bit of a flavor of how we work and how the Intuitive View Academy really works. And it is very much everything starting with being in the neutral. And for those who were at the symposium, you will have to do the exercise again, which is a good practice. For those who weren't, you will see the benefit probably of that. So what is the neutral state? you have this ad on the screen, and it is very much symbolic. This is the representation of our layers of collective. Our collective conscious is represented by these heads. And you see mind, body, ego, soul, higher self sits on the outside, because the philosophy being behind higher self is that higher self is too high in frequency and cannot, the body could not hold the frequency, and therefore a fragment, which is the soul, is represented into our collective conscious. And this conscious, the center of your head, it is, the better definition, it is your steering wheel. It is where your self-esteem sits, your sense of belief, your confidence. And when we work from that place, not only our intuition is, it is very much working in a place where nothing influences you. And being in that space is where we get our intuitive guidance, where our intuition really comes through, and the communication is so much clearer. And when we work in the neutral, from a state of neutrals, which is an exercise we are going to do very shortly. I'm losing my track. And the reason why we bring our collective, our soul self forward, which is our state of neutral, is because it is the gateway to communicate with spirit. Why? Because soul works from a very higher vibration. And having our soul self forward in this state of neutral, our senses are more acute, the information are clearer and more enhanced. The problem really begins when we have mind, in particular, in ego, interfering. When we start probably comparing each other with someone else, or when we have a lot of head chatter in our mind, or we get anxious about something, that is very much a sign that mind and ego in particular are really taking over, and we lose that sense of being the driver, really, and not the passenger. At that point, we become the passenger of mind and ego, just trying to influence us. So that is very much the first step that Claire taught me when we started, and certainly when I work with my clients. So the natural place is a very reliable place. And now it is like a bit of a soul journey, and everything becomes, in terms of intuitive communication, very, very enhanced. Now I'm going to move the slides to the next one, hopefully without doing any damage. Oops, no. So there we have. That is our first exercise. And that will become your test. In what way? I'm going to ask you, before taking you in the place of neutral, to think about a person that, as this slide says, make you feel angry, frustrated, annoying, somehow emotional, or any situation that have happened, that have that trigger, that's really gives you a sense of not comfort, not being in a comfort place. And if we use a scale from 0 to 10, we want that person or that situation, that emotion on the high, so we can really see the difference in the work. So if you would like, each one of you, please, to maybe think about a person or situation that really has a big impact, negative impact on you on an emotional level. And while you think, I'm gonna move the slides. So I hope you have had the time to think of that. And that is how we are going to step into the neutral. We have the Queen of Alchemy tonight with us, alias Claire Walker. And any alchemy we are going to work in this energetic alchemy is we want to have also, we want to visualize. That is the powerful, the power of alchemy, the visualization. So if you set aside the person or the situation that you have in mind, we are going to, if you just also close your eyes, you relax for a moment, maybe take a couple of deep breaths. And when you're ready, I'm going to read it to you. And I'd like you to imagine when you ask you to take your soul self forward. So maybe soul is the shape of your body. Imagine the shape, this light, very vibrant light, stepping forward into this place of neutral. So if you just close your eyes and I'm reading this for you, and please repeat it in your head or aloud as you are all muted. Energy, permission to bring my soul self forward, please. And just please trying to visualize your soul stepping forward into this place of neutral. And how it may feel for you, this sense of not having anything influencing the space where you are in now. I'm giving you a few seconds just to feel it. If I can ask you maybe to come back, and from that place of neutral, I really would like you to ask yourself again the question. Think of that particular person or situation that you were thinking of before. And I'd like to ask yourself, is the situation, the person making you feel the same? Are you still frustrated or annoyed? Or how do you feel now? And I'm very happy for anyone who would like to share anything. if you are using the scale that I mentioned before, where is this feeling, this personal situation on a 0 to 10, if you have given them a number? Anyone is willing to share?
Can I just come in as well there, Barbara?
Yeah, of course.
So here, the whole point of this is to look for, when you're thinking of the same person, is to feel very neutral, kind of almost like whatever about them, about the situation. And the situation that was perhaps quite big is now really tiny. And so that's neutral. It's almost like newsreader mode. When you're in newsreader mode, you have a very monotone, formal, that's the way it is. And that's the way it is being in neutral. So you're detached from your mind and ego. And so you're detached from your emotions, and you're detached from your overthinking and your head chatter. And at that moment in time, you can look at a person who normally makes you feel quite emotional or upset or frustrated. And actually you can look at them and go, do you know what? I'm not bothered. That's what neutral is. So, and that's what we're looking for. So, and if you're not in neutral, then you bring soul self forward again and try again. Because those of you that have a dominant mind and a dominant ego, this is where you need to police yourself. They need to step back. And you say to yourself in your head, if you think that they're dominating and stopping you from doing this, step back. You let soul come forwards, and you'll tell from this feeling of neutrality. It's like flicking a switch, and you can achieve the same in meditation, but you don't need to here, because you're just bringing soul self forward. And the reason we're using such formal language is really to honor and respect freedom and free will, even within yourself. And certainly when we work with spirits, we do the same. So, so if you haven't had a feeling of neutral, just bring soul self forward again and try again. Energy permission to bring soul self forwards. Okay. And so looking at thumbs up, if you think that you've reached the point of neutral, can you just stick your physical thumb up as we just go through the list, and keep them up for a few seconds? Yeah. So we can see it's quite a, I was looking through earlier, there's quite a number of you really engaged in this. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Now,
there are some replies in the chat as well.
Okay.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you. Thank you to everybody for, so this is something to practice, because being in neutral, especially if you've got a dominant mind and a dominant ego, is something you need to practice and get good at. And the longer you can stay in it, the better, in terms of intuitive connection. And that's one thing you get better and better at the more times and air miles you spend practicing bringing soul forward, the better. If you're doing meditation or yoga, it will be greatly enhanced by doing it with soul self forward. So sorry, Barbara.
No, that's all right.
I thought that might just have a little bit of, it might help a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem at all, actually. Thank you.
I think Helen's got her hand up.
Yeah.
Well.
Helen, you've got your hand up?
Yes, if you unmute Helen.
Oh, sorry, there's
a
mistake. Okay. Okay, that's it. So.
That's right. I'm just looking at the chat box, and Guiliana said about insignificant. Yeah, everything seems insignificant, not bothered, bring it on, whatever. That's kind of what neutral feels like. Grey rock response, excellent. Neutral, brilliant. Felicity. Jane, I stepped into a circle of light, and looking at that person, I just felt compassion and calm. Yeah, again, that's it's a good neutral. Seeing the light as well is a really good sign about your visualization, I'd say there. Oh, then I've got some general questions. Brilliant. Okay, we're going to carry on now from neutral. The whole point here, this is a little bit of alchemy. And alchemy is basically the use of energetic intention with frequency. We've all got you in a particular level. You've all got your own frequencies. Frequencies are like the channel, and vibration is like the volume of the channel. And the secret is you need to be in the highest vibration in the channel that you're in. So if you are somebody that likes sound bowls or tuning forks or crystals, that will heighten your vibration in the channel that you're already in. That will make everything much stronger and clearer for you. So, and alchemy works when you set an intention and embed it. And you've just done that by asking soul self to come forward. So you set the intention of soul self coming forwards. You've embedded it by visualizing what you think it looks like. And the third ticky box for it to work is that your energy has to be as high as your intention. And we've made sure of that because this is a very basic level of alchemy, but soul coming forwards in itself is a higher vibrational state. So it ticks all the three boxes. And alchemy is when we're all atomic beings. We live in an atomic universe, and atoms are influenced and transformed through frequency. And that's what alchemy is all about. And working at distance, it crosses into quantum physics, quantum entanglement, and quantum mechanics. So it's a really fascinating area. And quantum entanglement itself is at a very interesting stage because quantum computers are going to be using quantum entanglement to function and already do. So, so this is, you know, a manual version, if you like. So, sorry, I've gone off on a a passionate tangent there. So that's reaching neutral. So it's a practice and it will enhance any other activities you do, but it's the gateway to spirit. Okay.
Shall I move on?
Yeah,
next?
I think we're ready. So soul. So this is, we're going to go a bit further. So we're going to expand what we've just done. So I'd really love you to stay in neutral. And as your test, we've given you a person or perhaps a situation that you can tangibly use now to test whether you're in neutral or not. In a short while, you'll be able to ask your soul if you're in neutral, and you'll get a response. And I'm going to go through that with you. Because working from a soul level is a very basic form of intuitive connection, communication within. But it also gives you a flavor of what communication is like outside of yourself with spirit. And working with soul is a very interesting way to start and to build confidence in your own sensitivity. So you're now in neutral. And that means that soul self is forward. They're technically in your center. They have the steering wheel and they're driving the ship. And you've submitted to that. You've said, come on, soul, come forwards, over to you. Have the steering wheel, over to you. And that's what you've done. So soul's driving the ship and you're letting them take the lead. So you have the ability to talk to soul, and that's what we're going to try. Now, when you speak with soul, this is a form of physical dowsing in response to asking questions and getting answers from soul. When we ask soul, which we're going to do in a second, to show us what a yes feels like, please. I'm expecting you to feel a sense of uplift, probably between your heart and your throat chakra. That's the most common. And it's going to feel like an internal vibration, kind of a bit of a woohoo, but inside. So that's it. We take as a yes. Or it could be in a different place, but still feel uplifting. And there might be a reason why you're not getting it there, because there might be some blockage and it comes out somewhere else. But generally an uplifting feeling, a bit of an internal woohoo. And no, we're going to ask soul what a no feels like. A no is a bit of a sinking feeling in your stomach or lower in your body. And the key thing here is that you have a comparison. You have an uplift, and you have a bit of a sinking feeling for a no. So whilst you're in neutral, so just test for a moment again that you're there. Have a think of the person that you're using as your test or the situation. If you don't feel you're in neutral, bring soul self forwards again. So energy permission to bring my soul self forwards, please. And visualize what you think it looks like. And then we're going to speak to soul. So in your head or out loud, because you're on mute. Soul, can you show me, please, what a yes feels like? Okay, if you've got a crystal nearby, grab it because it will be stronger. Oh, what's that, David?
It's a crystal.
Oh, it's crystals together. Is it clear quartz?
Doesn't look
Oh, he's
like
on mute.
yeah.
Brilliant. So Felicity's getting butterflies in her stomach. Okay. So now we're going to ask Soul. Soul, thank you. We're going to thank Soul. If you didn't get anything or it was very super subtle, ask Soul to turn it up a bit, make it stronger. So ask them again. So they're having to judge how strong to make it. It's the same as spirit. When you're talking with spirit, they have to judge how strong to connect and communicate with you. And you just need to communicate it. Please, can you make it stronger? Actually, it's too strong. Can you make it a bit weaker? So just tell them. Lovely. And Guiliana, thank you. You're getting a nodding head. And you've got your kyanite. Lovely. So we've asked what a yes is. What's it feel like? We're going to ask what a no feels like. So Soul, thank you so much. Can you show me what a no feels like, please?
Sinking shoulder.
Sinking shoulders. Thanks. Yeah, Guiliana, that's
Yeah.
brilliant. So we're looking for a comparison. It doesn't have to be a sinking stomach, but as long as it's different to the yes, we're in. Okay, I can see everyone really having a go, which is great.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, hopefully, we've got a yes and a no. We've got a comparison at the very least. One really simple way to clear your chakras, to get in a certain place, is to use a light. To imagine a light coming into the top of your head and clearing out all the way through your body, all the chakras, all the way down your body till it comes to your feet and out into the ground. That's a brilliant way to clear out and get everything flowing. And it takes a matter of, seconds to do it. So if you think you've got a little bit of a blockage or you're not feeling it as well as you could, just send a white light down your body from the top of your head all the way down. Get rid of all that debris, all that stuck energy, open everything up. That spinning light, get it all the way down your body, down to your feet, down into the ground. Let's have a bit of a clear out. Okay, so we're going to go a little bit further. Okay, we're going to ask Soul. We've got a yes and no, hopefully now. We're going to ask Soul if we're still in neutral. So Soul, am I in neutral? Okay. So you should have a yes or a no. If you're not in neutral, bring soul self forwards again. This is practice. How long you can stay in neutral is a sign of how balanced your collective conscious are and how much work perhaps you need to do to get them into a better state of balance. And there's lots of ways to do that, lots of meditations and tools you can do that with. So we're going to go a little bit further. We're going to focus a little minute on Richard. And we're going to ask our soul if we've traveled before with Richard in a previous life. That's Richard, your president of the BSD. We're going to ask if you've traveled with Richard before or been with Richard before in a past life. Because you don't know the answer to that, you've got to properly let go and get the answer. Have a go. Oh, some yawning going on there. That's good, Lavinia. Good sign, energy shifting. Okay. Okay, so hopefully just stick your thumb up visibly if you've been with Richard before in a past life as I scroll down. Barbara. Oh, Guiliana, Linda. I'm just zipping through. Oh, Jane and Helen. And and Roberts. Not Nikki. And I can't see another pictures because they're not, it's too many on. That's brilliant. Okay. So it's giving you a flavor of what's possible just with soul. This is not even going to your guide. Your guides is a huge difference to this. And going into source, which is another frequency level up, is even larger. Now, one of you, if not a couple of you, have asked on the chat box I saw earlier, how you can take this into the field. You know, how can you take spirituality into the field? Well, when you're going to a location, and depending on who you're communicating with, when you're working from a place of neutral, at the moment, for those of you that have had success tonight, there's quite a number of you, a good percentage, you'll be able to go into the field, go into neutral, bring soul forwards, and you'll be able to speak to soul and say, soul, is there anyone else here in this vicinity with us? Any other spiritual visitors? And you'll get a yes or a no. You'll be able to understand, soul, is there any history here beneath the ground that I need to be aware of? Or is there any other energies here that I need to be cautious of? So, I mean, depending on what you're there for and what you're doing, there could be a whole host of questions. But soul has an energy frequency insight and will be helped by your guide as well. To help you with your communication initially. So working with soul and developing that relationship is great. You'll be able to move, by the way, very quickly from vibrational yeses and nos to hearing soul say yes and no and using language. Soul has their own voice in their conscious, and that's for another day. That's another lesson. But that gives you a little bit of a flavor of working within. And that's at the frequency you're at now. And if you add frequencies, so if you're tuned in to other frequencies, and there's a whole scale of frequencies you can be tuned into, that will take you to a whole other place in terms of your communications and your connections and the kind of information that you're looking for. I saw that somebody was asking a question about working with earth energies, you know, and how you can do that spiritually. And that's simple because our planet and nature, and we run a nature medium course. That's the one Barbara's running starting, I think it's next week, isn't it, Barbara? You know, a huge amount. We're surrounded, you know, our planet is surrounded by earth grids. There's an earth grid, Benker grid, the Curry grid. Light is conscious, and life forms, plants, trees, animals, people, we're all life forms, and we all have consciousnesses. There's conscious layers everywhere. So when you learn how to connect and speak with conscious layers, whether they be in nature, you know, whether you be working elementally, because there's a whole aspect elementally to connect and communicate with, whether it be mycelial networks underground with the roots of, you know, fungus and trees, etc., you know, or anything else. Consciously, there's a huge amount to tap into that gives you information in detail. There's also a lot of aspects of work you can do around earth elements and how us as life forms acclimatize to the earth and Gaia. There's a whole load of resources that you can work with as alchemists from Gaia and Source, using nature's covenants, and using nature's frequencies to help with healing, with balance, with growth. You know, it's possible to work with the land, and, you know, in order to clear energies. One of the small holdings I was helping had horses that were freaking out when they come out the stables and were rearing up and hurting themselves in the stable yard. And they would also have to be dragged literally into one particular field on this particular small holding. And so through connecting with spirit, with source, we could see that this small holding used to be a place where we used to kill animals for meat. And the stable yard was one of the main places where animals were put to sleep. And the horses could sense it. And that's why they were rearing up, and they were hurting themselves. It was costing the smallholder lots of money in vet's fees because they were hurting themselves. And when we looked at the field that they didn't like to go into, the field had been, we found that it had a lot of energy in there from Civil War times. There's a lot of violence that happened in that particular field. And that was verified by some local historians. And so we were managed to clear the energies, both in the stable yard and in the carbon deposits that were in the field. And the horses were fine. Horses don't have the ability to lie or adjust their behavior. They were just happy to be in those places once they were cleared. And they were cleared energetically and through the guidance of spirit. And that's that's just one example of how you can work spiritually together with the land that you're working on, which a lot of you are doing, obviously. So am I all right to continue on this line, Richard, with some questions like this?
Yes, I think it's fine, Claire. Yes, please.
And Barbara, are you happy?
Yeah.
Let me just go back to the beginning. The
I shall stop sharing.
Yeah, so the great thing about dowsing and connecting with spirit at the same time is that you're getting a lot more information, and dowsing is giving you pinpointing certain things, certain places, certain information. Spirit will give you the detail in between, and when you work intuitively in mediumship, you tend to receive information through your medium channel. We all have energy channels, the medium channel being one of them. You tend to receive information, and it's one way. You're given a message, and it's one way street. When you work with your intuitive channel, it's a two-way street. So you're asking questions and you're getting answers, and then you're asking more questions and you're getting more answers. I've learned all of this because I work through the intuitive channel, and I get a two-way conversation. I can channel, and I've helped a number of authors to channel books. You know, I can channel pages and pages of information. So the benefit is it's about the detail. You're getting more information, and when you've got more information, you can be more specific with your solutions and be more specific with your help of whatever it is you're working on. Yeah, so a dowsing site, I mean, potentially you've got low energies at a dowsing site. That's, you know, an area that we look at and work with. you know, you've got all kinds of ground related energies, elemental energies. There could be all kinds of issues geopathically with a particular site. So underground water sources produce sometimes a very strong energy. I don't think I need to tell you about this, you'll know. And they can make you feel ill, underground water sources. So so having a lot more information, it might be that you pick that up through dowsing, but you know, as to how it's affecting those around that site, perhaps properties, perhaps, you know, people, that kind of information can be added to from spirit. You know, the breadth and size of the problem can be measured through spirit. So I hope that kind of gives you a bit of a flavour. It's a big question though, some of these things. Lovely. So Julie is a kinesiologist I love working with. Yeah, so yeah, here, I mean, the sorts of things that we do, we work with somebody's existence. This is not just about working with who's in front of you. You know, when you're working at a place or with a person or with an animal, you're not just the potential of not just working with who's in front of you, it's about their behind the scenes. What's behind the scenes of this person? What's the behind the scenes of this place historically? You've got the ability to ask questions spiritually about that and to look at the existence of that place, the journey that place has had. You can glean through that method. You're looking at a person or an animal and their whole existence. You're looking at the distortion in the land. You're looking at the symmetry in the land. You're looking as to why that land perhaps isn't growing the same as the land around the corner that's beautiful and, you know, blossoming. But this land here, there's something going on. There's something in the land that's stopping it. What is it? So again, it's all about information, and distortion is a big thing. Working spiritually, you can pinpoint distortion, either whether it's in your existence, in your here and now, whether it's in the land and its history. Distortion is a great thing to work with, and you use alchemy in order to kind of solve the problem. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of a wider view, Julia, but it's a massive, huge area. Chat box, yeah. Yeah, understanding what the spirit of the place is when dowsing. It gives you just a lot more information and a real feel for the place, and when you connect in and tune in that way. Subconscious, yeah. Yeah, so these are you're talking about physical senses mainly there, but we also have energetic senses. They're your chakras and your meridians and your nadis. We also have light body senses. You know, your conscious self, your collective conscious that Barbara's taking you through. They're part of your senses too, as in soul. So you also have a toroidal field. You have energy channels. You have all kinds of senses and receptors around us. And when you learn where they are, your collective conscious start to learn how to perceive that information and to deliver it in a way that you understand. Yeah. So I think spiritual seeming energetically of water. Water holds a memory. Water's a fascinating thing. We're doing some work at the moment on cellular memory in the group. And when people experience trauma and significant events in their life, all your cells contain water. Water holds memory. And so your physical energy conscious responses can be triggered from old traumas in your cellular memory, from your cellular memory. And cellular memory can supersede healing. So you can have healing, and if it never goes, it doesn't work. Why isn't it working? You look at the cellular memory, because the cellular memory is still present and it's not being cleared. And again, spiritual, intuitive alchemy can help you with that kind of thing. So it is a huge area, but we are just scratching the surface, and hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea as to the types of things that you can look into. So whether it's communication, connection, whether it's working with alchemy, whether it's specializing in certain areas or using it to enhance what you're already doing with more information. So lovely. Brian, you've got your hand raised. Go ahead.
There are special protocols which apply to an opening meeting, and I was looking forward to hearing from everyone what their ideas and suggestions were. And we started well with your little talk, saying about yourself and saying, could we have a suggestion? And then Barbara came on to give a talk, and then you've gone off at 60 miles an hour. And I feel just a spectator. And I would just love to actually fulfill the remit of the meeting in knowing more about the people, because I don't know anything about them. How many dowsers are there? How many psychics are there?
Well, I think that's what we're going on to next, isn't it, Richard?
Well, that will be good. That would be really good. Look forward to that.
Some people have put questions in the chat.
Oh, okay.
I don't know whether we can answer all of those, but I guess it'd be nice to know if anyone is resonating what we've been saying, Claire. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to be a misery. I will be positive now. I've done dowsing for 50 years, and there's as many ways of doing dowsing as there are people. It is an absolutely wonderful field, and it's a great joy to me to see people realize what was in the front of their noses. My goodness, why didn't I see this before? I can't think of a better profession than helping people. And I absolutely love it, and I recommend it. And I wonder how many active dowsers there are here. I would love to know.
Well, we agree on most things there, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, not a problem. But this is the first meeting, so I want to get to know people. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Brilliant. It's a large group today, though, and so it's helping to help everyone feel fulfilled today as well. So, Richard, what would you like me to do next?
Should we have a look at some of the questions?
Yes, that's fine. Somebody's just asking what my website is. It's www. I'm trying to type it, but it won't let me. And I don't know how to do it. So it's www.intuitiveview.co.uk. Intuitiveview.co.uk. Thanks very much. That was Jackie. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Nikki. Brilliant. I'm really pleased I've helped you there. That's brilliant. And Michael, yeah, 40 years. Amazing. Clearly lots of experience here. Homeopath, that's Christopher. Toroidal field, there you go. Yeah, brilliant. And yeah, a lot of modalities now work with the toroidal field, so that's brilliant. Oh, thanks, Brian. And Jill. Oh, thanks, Jill. That's great. And everyone's got different opinions about stuff, but all opinions are welcome. Excellent. So I think, is that it, Richard? Have I missed any?
I don't think so. I've had a message from Barbara. If you could put a question in the chat, could you put it to everybody and not just to Claire?
Oh gosh, am I just reading out them to me? Right, sorry, I didn't realise.
So some to everyone, yeah, but some are just.
Oh.
It is just because you were jumping from one thing on the other that I realized that there were no questions coming up. That's all.
No, lovely. Well, no, thank you to Diana and David. That's David Wilcox. That's lovely.
I will give you a little clue. I've run many Zoom groups myself, and sometimes people are frightened of silence. And the fact there's 15 seconds of silence is often a good thing. And then someone pops up a question, and then it rolls from there, you see. So that's what I'm hoping will happen.
Brilliant.
Really. I'm on your side. Yes. Good.
Brilliant. We've got you, Brian. We've got you.
Thank you.
Okay. Richard, yes. Oh, here comes, oh, lovely. So Felicity's, and she's an integrated doctor and dowser. Brilliant. Love it. love it where conventional professions overlap. Love it. Spiritual teacher and data for 54 years, Charlie, amazing. Yeah. No, they're lovely. Gosh, about your experience with dowsing, that's truly incredible. A lot of you, just incredible for decades. So hopefully this might give you a little bit of a few extra nuggets to learn. So that's what we're hoping. So are we going to look at perhaps what people want from this now, Richard?
Yes, does anybody have any suggestions they'd like to contribute? Is anything burning that they'd like to discuss with us?
I rewrite your website here.
Oh, Mark Chanda.
Chanda, yeah. Hi, Claire. I was slightly confused. When you create the soul, or you bring the soul forward, are you looking through the eyes of the soul, or are you looking through the eyes of yourself? I'm trying to figure out which aspects is
Yeah, that's a top question, Mark. I love it. You're actually looking through the eyes of your soul.
Okay. So if it's in front of me, then it's looking at me.
If it's in front of you, then yeah, you're going to feel as though you're in front of yourself. Yes.
So then with the irritating person, or the person who's causing you, issues, who is it? The soul looking at that person? Or are you looking at the soul looking at that person? That was
you're being filtered by the soul, in effect.
Right. Okay.
Your conscious is being filtered by the soul. Ultimately, it's the conscious is a totality of you.
Right.
And this is a fragment. This is you fragmenting your conscious, in effect. So it's all relative, and it's all connected to oneness. But you're kind of using the soul as a filter to detach from the parts of you that have opinion and attitude, and can be a little bit bolshy or arrogant, perhaps. And not you, of course, Mark, but in general, for a lot of us, they can have a lot of opinions and stuff. It's just when you're detached from that and you're looking through the eyes of soul, you're in that neutral place, and you're benefiting from soul's vibrational energy, which is a lot higher, because soul doesn't carry in a baggage. Soul is basically the part of you that's like, come on, look, we're going to move forward. We've got all this to achieve. We've got purpose. And soul's the motivated part of you that's like, come on, team, let's go. It's kind of that part of you. And
when I was doing exercise, thank you for that. When I was doing exercise, I was holding this chunky crystal, but I completely zoned out. And then I came back, and then you had already moved on. And I was thinking, what happened there?
Bless you. Yeah, well, you'll be able to practice again. Yeah, and well, it's just something to get used to. And also, I'd recommend to all of you, if you're practicing at home, do it away from your Wi-Fi or your routers, because the frequency of your router can interfere, especially when you're at a frequency that's lower. I have a frequency scale of 0 to 6. It's a Claire Walker scale, nobody else says. And on that scale, number 2 is where most people's Wi-Fi sits. So if you're below that 2, the Wi-Fi will interfere with you and your connections. If you're above that 2, you're clear of it. So you've got to be aware of kind of other things as well that are influencing you around you. Like smartwatches, they're terrible for interfering. If you're wearing a smartwatch, as an example, they're running EMF through your system, and can interfere with your ability to get a connection or a good tuning in.
It's good to know. Thank you.
All right, brilliant. You're welcome. Christopher, nice to meet you. Oh, you're on mute though.
Got it.
Yay. Hello.
That's tricky to click off. Yeah, I'm a bit of a mixed bag because I'm a physicist and...
my brother's a physicist, a doctor of physics.
Oh, lucky you.
We have some great debates.
Oh, yeah, I'm rather than sort of my mixture's electronics, nuclear and resonance stuff, which is why
He's
sort
into detectors and nuclear cameras.
I make diamond detectors.
Wow, wow.
Because
Yeah,
they
interesting stuff.
a nuclear reactor.
Do you work for the MOD?
I'm not allowed to say. I in the past.
He used to, but he was poached. He's an Australian now. But anyway, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things I found is that because I also trained as in NLP, that's neuro-linguistic programming.
Yes.
And I have found a great difficulty in visualizing things with looking through the eyes of the soul. I find difficult, but I can hear the soul.
Great. Yeah.
And it's it's different senses. People are sensitive to different things. Sometimes the vision's too difficult because it's too much information.
Yes.
Whereas I can have an interesting conversation with an interesting voice. Actually, it's not necessarily an Alan Watts type voice, but well-educated voice.
Brilliant. Yeah, you must be really interested in the overlaps here with quantum mechanics and
yeah, because
have you looked in?
Yeah, I've done a lot of stuff with quantum because I'm into transputers, which is like now what AI is using to manage, say, parallel programming.
Oh wow!
But anyway,
I've done a workshop on quantum entanglement, so I'm really fascinated by it because it's
interesting enough that distance seems to be disappeared in that, and you're talking possibly faster than the speed of light.
Oh yeah, way faster, way faster.
Really upsetting other physicists because they.
I know. I quite like that though. Is that wrong?
Quite strong.
Yeah. Oh, lovely. Don't you meet you, Christopher?
But yeah, the thing is, there are other senses. Some people feel things to their guts, as I say. Some people hear things. Some people see things, and not everyone's the same.
No, that's right.
You've seen earlier on in the chat.
Yeah.
I did mention about conscious senses being sight, sound, kinesthetic, taste, and smell. I'm working on some work with things where you are linking up subconscious senses, which you aren't aware of because you haven't got the tools to receive them, which is where the dowsing senses come in, because you're a basic dowser, so you're using pendulums and sticks. As you get better and better and better, you don't need the tools.
Yes.
To the subconscious.
Yes. That's interesting. So have you been working with subconscious programming, and is that what you're thinking?
Sort of thing, yeah. One of my big things on NLP was intuition.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Oh, you and I could talk for a while, Christopher. Brilliant. Oh, thank you. Nice to meet you.
I'd love a Dowser support group. I think there's enough here to make I think there's vintage Dowsers like myself and others coming on. I'd absolutely love to have a support group. Deathly silence.
No.
That's a beyond my pay grades, Brian.
Yeah, I'd say ditto that. It'd be really nice to meet other dowsers that are professional dowsers now that do spiritual stuff. It'd be really good.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. Mm.
I'm with Brian on that one. Definitely, Brian. Let's go for it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we could actually put your emails down, send them to me, and I'll write to you. It's not, if you I'll copy them because I do this all the time. I'm used to it. If we had half a dozen, that would be great. Brian Snell.
I think it's a great idea. I think though you want groups of a workable size, because a group this size is really too large.
A dozen would be max.
So I think I think it has to be perhaps in an area or something.
Oh yeah, but it looks like
Would be ideal. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got two so far. 3. Any advance on 3? 4?
I'll join.
Yes, you have to write your.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Can I just say I'd like to send mine to you separately because this is being recorded.
Be my guest, Brian at pobox.com. Brian at pobox.com.
Thank you.
That's all right. Looking forward to hearing.
Me too.
Yeah.
Brilliant. We're
You
back on
can-
the chat.
It can get a bit lonely professionally, and you think, oh, I wish I could find someone to answer this funny question, you know, and just have, oh, I've come across this, you know, you do this and that. Oh, great, you know, thank you. I do chakras, by the way.
Oh, excellent.
I love them.
Brilliant. Are we done? Brian?
We're never
You
done.
sorted.
We're
Are you
never
sorted?
done.
Okay. You're very cheeky.
I know, I love it.
Okay, so just reading there, Felicity, brilliant. Felicity's just writing on the chat box about she does live blood analysis and has to switch off the Wi-Fi when looking at the blood, otherwise it messes with the results. So that's just shows, isn't it?
Aluminium helps on the head.
Say again, Christopher.
Aluminium on your head.
Oh yes. Yeah. Bit of foil, tin foil.
Tin foil.
Yeah.
But don't do it in public.
Yeah, so just looking down, everyone's I think people are generally enjoying it. So I think we're asking the question now. So what do you want more of? Brian's got his own little splinter group. What is it for this particular group? This time on a Thursday, once a month. What is it that you would like us? There's certain things we can do, so we can go into a little bit of learning, a little bit more each time. Just little bits and pieces. We're not going to give you big workshops and stuff because that's for other places, but little bits and pieces to help. We can run a practice circle, so it gives time people to practice certain skills, bringing the spiritual and the dowsing together. I'm just giving you some ideas. Please tell me what sounds good. We can do like a healing circle, so we can use some time of a session to come together as a group and use the energy of the group for healing, that sort of thing. We can look at philosophy, all of the above. We can do kind of a mixture of stuff. Just a few ideas. What is it that you'd like to see?
Protection.
Okay, yeah.
Safe surfing, they say.
What we can do, Claire, is we could write to everybody. We've got everybody's email address. And if they'd like to submit their ideas through that way. And then, there could be quite a few things that are common to everybody. And we, that will give us a better idea, I think.
Brilliant. Yeah. We can plan something then for next time. Yeah. Okay.
If there's any questions we've missed from the chat, we can look at those as well.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Back to people.
Lovely. Well, I hope everyone's kind of enjoyed it. Perhaps not as structured yet, because we're just getting going, aren't we, and finding our feet. So, but it's good to meet you all, and I hope to see you all again soon.
It's just about an hour and a half now, Claire. So and Barbara. So it's probably a good time to close. Could I ask Maeve to come and give the blessing to close?
Yep. Okay, if everybody's ready.
Okay, Maeve.
Kindly luminous beings, guardians of this Zoom space, we leave in love and peace, and thank you for your blessings, protection, love and hospitality whilst we were in this Zoom space. And so let it be.